Hi, my name's Prousky. I'm an artist, writer, and curator, among other things, here in Kitchener. This is my studio. It is in my apartment, or I should say this is the nicest corner of my studio, which is why I'm showing it to you. I am included in Show.21 this year at Queen Square Gallery at Idea Exchange in Cambridge, and I am filming this video today to tell you a little bit more about my work in the show called A Spill That Stays Streaming. So I will explain the pieces that I have currently in the gallery and then go into a little more detail about the works. So I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in a sec. The pieces I have in Show.21 right now are part of a series called The Spill That Stays Streaming, and it is a group of sculptural works that really put materiality at the forefront. Specifically, I wanted to focus on the moments when one material settles into another and becomes a new thing. I recognize a level of cooperation in that moment and thought the idea of materials working together, so to speak, would be a fruitful topic to dig into. So there's two pieces in the gallery right now. The first one that I'll talk about uses these liquid rubber molds with various objects inside them or around them, and they act as pelts on a chain clothesline. Rubber is interesting for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because it completely engulfs whatever it's poured around, dominating it in a way. But then it's the rubber that changes as it dries, and the object underneath usually remains unchanged. You can just peel off the rubber. So you get this blurring of the lines of dominant and submissive that is pretty neat, if you ask me. The second thing is that rubber ages. It becomes a deeper amber color and gets sort of brittle over time. I've also noticed it sort of looks like it's sweating sometimes in my studio, but that might just be the type of rubber I bought. I don't know if that is a property of rubber in general. You can let me know. So this piece will inevitably change or, keep streaming, even though the material it's made out of is no longer liquid. The second work in the show is called Leash, and it's two chairs with the seats bumped out, and they are snuggling and intertwined with tons and tons of pink yarn. I got the chairs on Facebook Marketplace for a couple bucks. They were supposed to be for planters to put in the seats, I think is what the owner told me. But I just thought they were really pretty. There's etchings in the wood, and they're a nice deep brown color. So I went and got them and brought them to my studio and just had them stacked like they are, and I noticed how sweet they looked. With the seats gone, it really looked like they were cuddled into each other. One was sitting on the other's lap. So I thought of making it so that they had to cuddle forever. In my statement that is up at the gallery right now, I write, using methods of squishing, stretching, spreading, or sticking, my goal is to punctuate the life cycles of my materials with a little romance, like how a kid might smush their dolls' heads together to make it look like they're kissing, which I feel is what I essentially did with the chairs. I'm not sure why pink or why yarn. That part just came together. And then the video, which if you didn't know, there is a video in the yarn pile. I was playing around one day with some clips I had shot of my hands playing with goop. I wanted to try to make something sort of abstract and drippy with video editing. And then I remembered I wrote this poem a while ago, years ago, that I thought would work thematically. That it just was all very organic. It came together from playing around in the studio one day and kind of just being open to noticing things and tying them together. But I had an idea to put the screen in the pile so it would prompt viewers to bend down and look at this kind of abstractedly gross visual hidden in an otherwise whimsical, happy, easily identifiable pile of yarn. So hopefully you get to do that. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about the two projects that are in the gallery. However, I recently wrote a short reflection on this body of work as a whole. So I thought I would end this video by reading it to you and inserting some images of the other works, and also just some images I've taken on my phone over the years that are about this moment of materials settling into each other, or materials deciding to work together. So enjoy the upcoming slideshow, and thank you to Idea Exchange and Cambridge Art Galleries for including me in this show. And I hope you all get to see it. Bye. I'd consider the works in this series acts of research creation, prompted by a desire to explore and interrogate what it is about my favorite materials and textures that make them so appealing to me. To that end, I'll begin with the following statement. I've always been drawn to gloopy, slimy things. Really anything that looks soft, drippy, and viscous fills me with joy, and doubly so if it's also brightly colored and shiny. Aesthetically, slime and goop have always seemed like an honest and visceral way to reference the body without actually depicting the human form. They look gross without truly being gross, lightly satisfying my need for an abject openness of the body without really having to get my hands dirty. On a more tangible level, I've always found the sensation of soft things slipping through my fingers to be excessively calming, to the point where I actively seek out clothes with fringe and sensory experiences that I can pull through my fingers. I've long been toying with the idea of the space between my fingers as a pleasure zone, both in the tactile ways I described, but also in the metaphorical sense of this space somehow belonging to my loved ones to slip into at will. I think that in this way, there is an intimacy or sensuality when it comes to materials that can seep from our hands. They stand in for substances from the deepest parts of our bodies and the bodies of others. So naturally, I began to think about the recent slime phenomenon. If you ignore all the examples of slime and slime-like substances in the toy and media landscapes of yesteryear, you could say the trend began around 2016 when a group of Thai teenagers started putting videos of themselves poking and prodding slime on Instagram. Now slime videos infiltrate every platform and garner millions of daily views. If you know anything about the slime of today, it is probably these two facts. 1, it's made from borax and glue, and 2, kids and teens are making bank selling it online. It is interesting to me that something so pure, it is after all made from ingredients that directly represent untainted childhood creativity and actual cleanliness, and so in pursuit of the simple desire to feel good, has become somewhat of a child labor-driven capitalist enterprise. Of course, the selling and marketing of slime is a predictable step in a society that has a multi-billion-dollar wellness industry, but the utter formlessness of this relaxation tool had me naively believing that it could somehow smooth over the sharp edges of supply and demand. A Garage magazine article from 2018 hypothesizes that it is precisely these material properties of slime that make it a perfect agent of capitalism, tending to the laborers' frustrations by offering new and imaginative ways to participate in the otherwise unattainable domination of so-called lesser forms. They write, perhaps slime is appealing because it reconfigures flexibility as something pleasurable, even delightful, whereas for most people in the labor market, the day-to-day experience of bending to fit capitalism's needs is nothing short of excruciating. Squishing around fluffy pastel sludge induces a sort of release in the viewer. Its status as an alien substance allows it to become an image of another way to move through the world. You can't hurt slime, and you can handle it with motions that might injure a sensitive being in any other circumstance. End quote. While I agree that watching or playing with slime has an aggression release factor, I'd say that in terms of the materiality of slime, it goes beyond reframing the painful flexibility that capitalism demands and actually mirrors the way we self-determinate and defy oppressive systems in pursuit of moving freely. Whether on the micro or macro level, we are always adjusting to new surroundings, fitting into certain containers, making do, and working together. Slime is somehow both aspirational and pitiful, reminding us of our basest animal selves and what we might be able to become under certain conditions. Slime, like all of us, relaxes into new forms, adapts and continues on with what it has picked up along the way. We're all materials in flux, moving, settling, growing, and condensing.